So is it actually a good policy, a step in the right direction for you?
It is. I'll say it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say it is. And the reason being that, for instance, today, it may not be directly, but part of the economic problem we have today, it has to do with our currency. Do we have respect for our currency? No. If you hold 50 naira today, what can you do with 50 naira? What can you do with 20 naira? What can you do with 50 naira? And if you look at the CBN policy, CBN is targeting the higher bills, 200 naira, 500 naira bill, and 1,000 naira bill. Left to me, the maximum bill we should have is actually 100, or let's say 200. And I think that's where we are going.
Oh, okay.
That's where we're going, because what I see, I knew it was coming to this. You know, the issue of cash withdrawal limit came much later, but I knew it was coming to this. And I can assure you
that's when they started the redesign.
Yes, I can assure you that in the coming days, we'll be seeing less of 500 and 1,000 bills.
Aha, really? So that was one of the reason for this?
Absolutely.
Now, in the words of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, he is a retired Nigerian army general and politician. He served as the military president of Nigeria from 1985 until his resignation in 1993. He once said, "The challenge, as we saw in the Nigerian project, was to restructure the economy decisively in the direction of a modern free market as an appropriate environment for cultivation of freedom and democracy and the natural emergence of a new social order." All right, we'll take our second quote, and this one is from Ronald Wilson Reagan. He was an American politician who served as the 40th president of the United States from 1981 to 1989. He once said, "Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it." All right. Let's see how all of this could relate to what we will be discussing today. Very warm greetings and welcome to D Conversation. We are reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Of course, I am Annabelle Oji. And the Central Bank of Nigeria earlier directed commercial banks and other financial institutions in the country to reduce the cash withdrawal limit to 100,000 and 500,000 naira for individuals and corporate organizations, respectively. In addition, banks were directed to only load 200 naira denomination notes or less in their ATMs in a bid to limit the volume of 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes in circulation to tame the rising rate of inflation in the country. The directive of the Apex Bank follows the announcement by the governor, that's Godwin Emefiele, during the November 2022 MPC meeting, when he revealed that higher denominations notes will be reduced in circulation in the long run in order to discourage naira hoarding. Now, the highlight of the letter includes individuals will only be able to make a maximum cash withdrawal of 100,000 naira per week over the counter. Now, withdrawal over the limit of 100,000 naira will definitely attract a processing fee of 5% charge. Now, corporate organizations also have a maximum cash withdrawal limit of 500,000 naira per week over the counter with a 10% processing fee charge if the limit is exceeded. Now, third-party checks above 50,000 will not be eligible for cash payment over the counter. However, the check limit of 10 million naira through clearing for third-party account settlement still subsist. Only denominations of 200 naira and below shall be loaded into ATMs, and customers will only be able to make a maximum ATM cash withdrawal of 20,000 naira per day or cumulative 100,000 naira per week. And also, the individuals will only be able to make a maximum cash withdrawal of 20,000 per day via POS terminals. Now, this latest move by the Central Bank of Nigeria will most certainly have widespread impact and effect on trade, especially on businesses relying on cash-based transactions, POS transactions, and other forms of electronic payment. Abimbola Ajinibi is an investment banker, and he will lead us through this discourse here on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Conversation, and I will be your host. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to our discussion for today. Our guest on the show today is Abimbola Ajinibi. He is an investment banker, and he will help us to make better understanding of the CBN's withdrawal policy. It's good to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Annabelle. It's
Great.
nice being on your show once again.
Likewise. All right, now, the CBN withdrawal policy, as you've seen, has actually created loads of dust and fuss to the polity. But then, before we delve right into the impact and then the effect or the implications on the average Nigerian, even the pepper seller, the barbers and all of that, personally, do you actually think that this policy was well spelled out? Is it timely? And does it actually meet the needs and aspirations of the Nigerians that it was actually prepared for?
Well, I mean, looking at my opinion, I think this is long overdue. This should have been done even before we commenced the cashless policy. You know, because the truth is that even CBN confirmed that we have 85% of cash not in the bank vault, and this is huge. So when we have about 3-point-something trillion of cash, and then you have over 2 trillion not inside the bank's vault, I would say that it's quite dangerous, you know, because it then means that a lot goes on in the economy that is not captured. So if you have that quantum of cash, you know, in the economy, that means a lot of things are going on that you don't know, that is not captured. So one, and the only situation you can have that when you have that size of cash, it's when transaction wants to go under the radar. So it has to be crime related, corruption, and tax evasion. So that's that's the only reason why you could have that quantum of cash not captured in the system. So I would say it's long overdue. The CBN gave a number of reasons for coming up with this policy. One, they said that, as I mentioned earlier, 85% of the cash is not in the bank's vault. Two, they have a number of currency counterfeiting. And then we also have a situation where, you know, banditry, kidnapping, this is fuel by cash. Kidnappers don't ask for transfer, they ask for cash. And then we also have a situation where currency abuse. And again, it's even the best global practice to redesign and change currency within 5 to 8 years. So I would say it's long overdue.
So is it actually a good policy, a step in the right direction for you?
It is. I would say it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it is. And the reason being that, for instance, today, it may not be directly, but part of the economic problem we have today, it has to do with our currency. Do we have respect for our currency? No. If you hold 50 naira today, what can you do with 50 naira? What can you do with 20 naira? What can you do with 50 naira? And if you look at the CBN policy, CBN is targeting the higher bills, 200 naira, 500 naira bill, and 1,000 naira bill. Left to me, the maximum bill we should have is actually 100, or let's say 200. And I think that's where we are going.
Oh, okay.
That's where we're going, because what I see, I knew it was coming to this. You know, the issue of cash withdrawal limit came much later, but I knew it was coming to this. And I can assure you
that's when they started the redesign.
Yes, I can assure you that in the coming days, we'll be seeing less of 500 and 1,000 bills.
Aha, really? So that was one of the reason for this?
Absolutely. Let me give you an instance. If you travel overseas, say in Europe, say in the UK, say in the US, just try it. hold $100 bill or £100 bill or $100 and walk into a store, they will look at you because it's strange. I've been to a store and I tried to make a purchase with a £100 bill. You know, the teller had to go get supervisor to take a look at it because it was strange. So it is here in Nigeria that...
but then the problem is that most times you won't find it more with Nigerians. Absolutely,
that is it. That is it. You find it more. So, and you know, it's so strange when you see Nigerians and then they prefer to carry, and of course the reason is obvious. It is easier to carry large amounts in higher pills. So, and because of this, you know, we find a situation where people stack hot money in the house because why? It is easier when you have higher bills. See what is going to happen now. So with 200 naira bills, how much can you hoard? So I think it's a policy that is long overdue. And I know where you're going. It is not targeted at, because I've heard a lot.
I'm not going there yet. I will get there, but not yet. Now, because with taking a cue from all that you stated now, I'm trying to draw out some question from what you stated. Now, with regards to what the CBN, the 85% that the CBN talked about, but then who is to be blamed? Is it not the same banks that that you people go to withdraw all this money from? Is it not the commercial banks or the financial institutions that you should blame? That's one on the side. And then secondly, does it actually bother you that we still have coins? It is still a legal tender, but then you don't see it around again.
Thank you. That's why I said that this policy is long overdue. And I will say that the authority has messed the system. The CBN has messed the system. And they're trying to clean it up. They're trying to clean it up. Before.
Okay, so now it is the fault of the CBN first.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, because there's nowhere in the world where we hold cash around the way we do in Nigeria. Ghana, it's only in Nigeria you hear Ghana must go, where people stack cash. You go to parties and you see people hawking cash. It is not done. We don't have respect for our currency. So this policy is actually long overdue. I'm sure you've had, you know, people bringing out cash with bank wrapper as far back as 2018. You know, these are not rumor. It's actually true. It's true. So how do you expect to have sanity in the system where, you know, people stack each cash amount in the house? It is not done. So the system the banking system has been messed up, and then CBN is trying to clean it up now. And I think we should all support this policy.
Okay. Now, during the NPC meeting, that the central bank governor actually lamented that, like you stated, that 85% of cash in circulation are unbanked, and so this is actually a policy that is. According to him, he said this policy is great and boundless idea to deal with the percentage of this cash and then mop up more cash, but some people are still saying that is this just one policy that is targeted at a few set of people, especially politicians, because we've seen how much they have come out to cry out loud. So do you actually think that this policy is directly faced at them? Because I heard one politician say this policy is just one dagger that the central bank decided to throw at politicians, especially because he lost out in the election. Do you agree with that?
I won't agree with that, though it's largely part of it. I didn't just start today. I recall that towards the 2019 election, EFCC became very, very strict, you know, and the searchlight was on the Bureau de Change. Because they realized that, you know, cash was exchanging hands, huge cash. And then it was also affecting our exchange rate, because largely there is a nexus between that volume of cash you see and then the exchange rate, because ultimately what they do is to bring out those cash and take it to the black market to purchase, to purchase dollar. Of course, once demand is high, the exchange rate will go up. Though that is not, of course, we have import-export issue that is driving the exchange rate. But arbitrage trading and illegal activities by the BDC is unnecessary. There are no fundamentals for you to have that wide margin between the official rate and then the parallel black market rate. So it's part of it. So I would say that they are really targeting. Why do I say that? I've had a lot of cries that, even the politicians are saying that CBN is trying to punish the masses. And I'm wondering that who exactly is this policy targeted? And I would say that it's not directed at anybody, but it's just to bring sanity. And ask me, what do they want to do with cash?
Like they said, so most of them said to pay their agents, run campaigns and all of that.
The agents have account. Why can't they do transfer to the agent's account? It's very simple. So whatever you want to do and you want it to be cash, you don't want it on the radar. That's why you want to do it. So CBN is not, and then we also need to correct an impression, which I believe media should do more in this regard. CBN is not restricting people from taking their money. It's cash limit, meaning that you have amount of cash that you can draw, 20,000 for individual daily, 100,000 weekly. Let me ask you, for me, I can't remember the last time I hold cash in excess of 10,000. What do I want to do with it? Because I can easily make my transfer, and there are several channels that you can effect your transfer. Now you will say, okay, maybe it's me. How about
markets, business, traders?
Interestingly, I go to market as well. I go to the market, I do purchases on the roadside, and they all have bank account. I was in a traffic once, and I wanted to buy a book in the traffic. Unfortunately, I didn't have cash with me. So I said to the vendor, I said, okay, maybe next time. He said, no, guy, I have account. I'll give you my account, do transfer. And I did transfer, and he confirmed a lot. I buy vegetables, I buy fruit.
I was going to ask that. Do you buy tomatoes? Do you buy onions?
I did.
So you do transfer?
I in fact, the truth is that from my regular, the seller that I buy from, I have his account number. So anytime I'm passing by, I just pick fruit. So you see, we shouldn't try to make this thing difficult. It is not difficult. Naturally, people will resist change. But change is what we have to deal with. We won't continue to do things the same way and we expect something different. We just have to accept this policy and look back as of 5 years ago. Do we have POS operators? Do we?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. And as of today, the statistics is putting at about between 1.5 and 1.8 million POS operators.
Now, that's what someone also said, and then the blame went back to the banks. The banks wanted fintechs, more like something or an alternative from you doing the bank stuff. So why did they also complain about the too much proliferation of POS then? No,
there's no problem with POS. What that even tells you is that that is also dealing with financial inclusion. To ensure that channels are spread across. If you go to most rural areas now, you will see these POS operators. They are there. And the idea is to ensure that they're able to feed people that don't have access to ATM or banks. So that tells you that we are evolving and we will get there. As I said, a few years ago, there was no POS operators. They started with fewer of them, and today they keep expanding. And of course, they are bank owners. And one thing they are not even talking about with this policy, because they've said that, it will affect POS operators, because POS operators cannot do more than 20,000. Though CBN already says that they will review that. But also remember that POS is not only cash payment, cash withdrawal. They also accept deposit and they do transfer. They do.
But a lot of people don't know the transfer part of it, of POS though.
Yes, but that's why I said that there is a need to be done in terms of educating people that POS, you can do your deposit, meaning that a POS person becomes a local or a mini bank. So it will create what I would call competition. You can't sit down and government is coming up with a policy and you are looking at that policy, oh, it will not work. No. Let's be creative and see what we can make out of it.
But then because you talked about education, now there's always the trust and deficiency between the government and the governed. So don't you think that people were not educated enough or sensitized enough with regards to this policy before it was just reeled out? Some people feel like it was just thrown at our faces and we don't even know much about it.
But you know that cashless policy, I can't remember when, but it's been on for a very long time. And, you know, there has been several...
Was it even before the former CBN governor,
yes,
Sanusi?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a project that has been in the pipeline. And as I said, a few years ago, there was no POS operators. A few years ago, we do not have, you know, the number of electronic channels that we have today. And a lot of people had actually moved with this change, you know. But fewer people just, you know, they sit back and they don't want that change. So I will also say that maybe NOA, National Orientation Agency, is not doing enough in terms of sensitizing people, you know, for them to know that change is coming. And there can never be, yes, we will continue to say, oh, we are not ready, we are not ready. But we just have to start. Let me give you an example. I was in Ibadan a while back and I ordered a ride, Uber ride. It was new in Ibadan then. So when the ride came, it was just two people. It was the driver and then a young man. And I was worried. Why? I mean, I should have just the driver. The old man doesn't know how to operate a phone. Yeah. So he got his son to sit with him and, you know, be putting him through. So that is him trying to catch up with competition. If you sit back and you are not willing to adapt to change, you will just be there. So now the old man, rather than sitting at the park and, you know, waiting for
the normal taxi
and all, so he decided to move with the change in time. And he decided to get his son to put him through for him to understand how to do it. And I'm sure maybe by the next time I see the man, he will be operating by himself. So we need to adapt to change. Even my mother, when she wanted to start using WhatsApp, I was like, how is this woman going to... And she's educated anyway, but because she's not tech savvy, so I was wondering how she would be able to do it. I tell you, it did not take her a week before she was able to use, you know, WhatsApp effectively. So it's a change that we all need to embrace because in the long run, it's for everybody's good.
All right, now, so since the central bank governor said that the reason why this policy was brought up was to buffer cashless economy and then tackle money laundering and then curb inflation. But then some economic think tanks have actually stated that this might even lead to stagflation or even worse still, another recession. Do you agree?
I disagree with that. And I want to know what their reason will be for that. Well, to start from the CBN point, my view is that the primary reason why they're coming up with this policy is to entrench the cashless, one. And then secondly, to tackle the issue of criminalities, banditry, kidnapping. You know, it's on the increase. And you can't have this level of criminality and an economy, and you expect that economy to prosper. You know, you are driving away investors, you know, a lot, even the farmers, it's kidnapping, banditry, it's affecting farming. Farmers cannot farm. They can't go to their farm. And of course, this will affect, it will impact on, it's driving food inflation. So in a way, ultimately, it could bring down inflation.
But this same, you talked about banditry, this same bandit, I saw a particular report some time ago, immediately the CBN announced the redesign of the Naira and then the new Naira notes. And then you saw some of these abductors, they said they will not release their victims unless they're being given the new Naira note. They must be paid with the new Naira note. So it means like you're changing, you're taking one steps, and then do you also factor the fact that these people are also taking 2 steps forward too?
No, well, yes, of course. You know, the truth is that when authority come up with a policy, they are not stupid. They actually work on statistics. They worked on some information that we don't know. When they came up with the Naira design, personally, I knew that it won't stop at that. I knew that the ultimate goal is that we'll have cash limit. I knew that we wouldn't have, you know, the quantum of cash we have in the system. And that is where we are now. For you to, as an individual, if you are going to draw anything above 1 million, right? Have you checked the requirement? All you have to provide before you get that. And you will need the approval of the bank's MD, you know. And Searchlight is on you. What are you going to do with that money? So it's going to make ransom. It's going to make it very, except kidnapper wants to be killing people. And if that's what they want to do. Because the truth is that it's not going to be the fault of the kidnapped person. He cannot pay the ransom. Where would he get it from? Where is he going to get that from? And then even if you, let's even come to lower amount. What they are going to feed into ATM now, the maximum currency you have there is going to be
200.
200. And it's not just going to be the ATM. Generally, what you easily access is going to be 200 Naira pure. So how much 200 Naira do you want to stack? So even if it's 1 million, do you know what that means? That means you have how many bundles? That means you have 5 bundles.
I'm going to ask you a personal question. Someone actually stated that apart from politicians, a lot of people, business people, they always have their way. They always know how to maneuver these things. So they said that it's actually a personal thing. If I decide to go to the bank and then I have my cash, I have my bank officer, and then I tell the person to, okay, because we've established a relationship, and then I tell the bank manager or the officer, my account officer, and ask him to give me XYZ amount of money, and then I could do that and then go away with it. Is that possible?
It's not going to be possible with this policy. It's not going to be possible. And I tell you, there is a department called NFIU, and what they do, it's, you know, what that agency does is to you know, to work on money laundering. So what that agency does is that activities going on in the account, they see it. So if you are drawing that amount, it will trigger a flag. And I'm sure no RM wants to. And the truth is that you can't even draw that. The policy is there. You can't draw any amount for individual above 1 million. Well, I think, was it 1 million or 5 million? Without the approval of the bank's MD. So how many approval would the bank's MD be doing?
What if it's the bank's MD you're going straight to?
It's still going to pass through the system. You see, the truth is, with the BVN and with other initiatives that CBN has done, there's X-ray on activities that are going on in the bank. If I had that money, I would have done that to you. If I move the money into your account that is above the regular amount that you receive in your account, the system will block your account. It will flag. It will.
I thought that's for a particular account.
No.
You call it type A or something.
No. Once there is unusual activity in your account, the system will flag it. So now the CBN is saying that there's a policy in place. You are not allowed to draw more than a certain amount. If there are exceptions, it will raise a flag.
Okay, now, so but then, how would you actually describe this disturbing videos and pictures of stale and damaged and naira notes and expired monies that we have actually seen and have been discovered flying around social media? The last one that I actually saw was a particular one that was stuck in a one particular bank. I'm not going to mention the name of the bank. So how would you explain that? Some people say it's fake. Some people say it is destroyed paper and all of that. But then you said that I hear you say that there are checks on this money, the amount of money that one can actually remove. So is it that the checks was not there when people were withdrawing such amount of money and then stocking them in their warehouses? Yeah,
you recall I said that this policy should have been in place before we start the cashless. The system is already messed. You have huge, there's no control. Of course, the policy is just coming up now that is going to be effective January 9, you know, meaning that before now, there was no, though when the cashless policy started, there was a limit on amount that you can pay it in, not withdraw. So you can actually withdraw any amount, but there is a limit on what you can pay in. So before now, there was no control. You know, you see people stash cash. And as I said, what do you want to do with cash? What are you hiding that you don't want the system to capture? So you only deal with cash when you want to do something that is not right. One, maybe you want to evade tax. Two, you want to give bribe, or you want to commit a crime. You want to do money laundering. That is what you would do. If I want to, well, not me. If a politician wants to, or if a corrupt civil servant wants to receive bribe, he's not going to do it through transfer. It's going to be cash. And these activities that are actually destroying our economy. I saw the one you talked about. I saw that. I saw the video. I'm not sure that is money anyway. You know, I also saw a purported press release that it was unused paper or something. But even at that, we've seen cash damped, spoiled. Some had been eaten by termites. And the question is that, why would someone keep that size of cash at home?
Very disturbing.
Very disturbing. So you and I would now agree that this cashless policy or this cash withdrawal policy is long overdue.
All right. There's clearly more that we can learn from this edition of the conversation with Abimbola Ajinibi. So we will definitely get right to it after this time out. Join us again.
In a way, you could say that, oh, maybe this policy will even favor them. That means it reduces the risk. But however, in terms of the volume they do, and I will ask, before now, how have they been doing it? Because I'm looking at the cash holding at any point in time. The more cash you hold, the more exposed you are, to robbery. And then the CBN also said that they've had the POS complaint, the POS operators complain, and that they will look at how they can work out a modality that will favor them. Which I also think they can't be sitting under the tree holding ₦1 million. That is risky. Then again, as we discussed earlier, for POS operator, it's not just cash withdrawal. They have a number of services they offer as well. They have cash deposit, they receive deposit, they do transfer.
They pay bills.
Yeah, they pay bills. They pay bills, electricity bills, water rates, even they sell cards. So there are a lot of it. Let us not reduce what they do to just cash withdrawal. Cash withdrawal is part of what they do.
If you just joined us, this is the conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to our second segment, but hey, you've actually missed out on the first segment. Our guest on the show today is Abimbola Ajinibi. He is an investment banker, and we've been talking about the CBN's withdrawal policy, its impact, implications on the economy. Now, for those making the argument for POS, they say that the POS businesses, that's the point of sale. Let me take some of the social media stories that we got. They said point of sale services have served as the major employer of labor in Nigeria in recent times, especially for the youth who operate in small kiosks and stores, mostly in rural areas. So POS agents can handle as much as 1 million naira in cash in their small stores, that's 1,000 naira notes, with ease. However, the new restrictions of handling around 200 naira notes, it becomes extremely difficult to handle heavy cash. Now, some say that, for example, 1 million naira in 200 naira denominations will require about 5,000 naira notes, which could be overly conspicuous and consequently attract robbery or attacks. Another said the extra 5% interest processing charges that would come from withdrawing more than 100,000 from the banks by the POS agent would reflect on the charges going forward. Then another person says, so how do you actually reduce the velocity of cash in circulation by putting a peg to the amount that can be withdrawn from the ATM, directing banks to only add 200 naira notes or lesser denominations? How does that even correlate? Help us and make sense of it.
Well, for the POS operator, I've actually thought about that as well. And the truth is that the POS, an average POS operator is actually a soft target already, to robbers. The more they carry, the more risk.
Susceptible they become.
Exactly. So, in a way, you could say that, maybe this policy will even favor them. That means it reduces the risk. But however, in terms of the volume they do, and I will ask, before now, how have they been doing it? Because I'm looking at the cash holding at any point in time. The more cash you hold, the more exposed you are, to robbery. And then the CBN also said that they've had the POS complain, the POS operators complain, and that they will look at how they can work out a modality that will favor them, which I also think they can't be sitting under the tree holding 1 million naira. That is risky. Then again, as we discussed earlier, for POS operator, it's not just cash withdrawal. They have a number of services they offer as well. They have cash deposit, they receive deposit, they do transfer.
They pay bills. Yeah,
they pay bills. They pay bills, electricity bills, water rates, even they sell cards. So there are a lot of it. Let us not reduce what they do to just cash withdrawal. Cash withdrawal is part of what they do. So you see, I'm sorry, it is when we are looking for justification, to rubbish a policy, now everybody is saying the POS operator will suffer it. Even people who have no idea on what they do are the one shouting the most. But again, change is a constant. I believe the POS operators, they will adapt to this, and there will be a way out for them. But again, as I mentioned, what they do is not just cash withdrawal. They do cash deposit, they pay bills, and they do transfer as well.
Like you actually stated that if only they got more education and sensitization, that's because a lot of this arguments you find on, especially the Free Readers Association, where one person comes up with the reason why it happens, and then every other person accepts, and then it just keeps spreading around.
That is it. I listened to a live radio show, and I was shocked at the kind of information that they were dishing out to people. This government is going to, CBN wants to kill the masses. And you agree with me that if we go by the World Bank figure on poverty, that about 42% are living below poverty level, and their standard or the benchmark is $5.5, right? So that translates to roughly about 3,000 per day, right? So you have 42 point something percent people, about 95 million people that fall under this category. And these are the masses. And CBN is saying that a minimum withdrawal of 20 or a limit of 20,000 naira per day. How will masses suffer from this? I'm a mass. I'm a common man, and in a week I don't carry more than 10,000 cash. I'm serious. So how would a common man suffer from this? So that translates to 100,000 in a week. 100,000 in a week is a lot of money, even with inflation. That translates to 400 or 500,000 in a month. How many people are earning that?
All right, so let's take another social media message. Someone says the letter sent from CBN to other banks that 20,000 naira maximum should be cashed from the ATM a day. This policy will not only affect the poor, but the rich as well. Assuming someone was sick in the hospital and needs to deposit 50,000 just to start to treat the patient, and we could only get 20,000 per day from the ATM stand. So tell me, how would this policy work?
That's an exceptional case, and I'm not sure that happen all the time.
But I'm sure we should give room for contingencies. Except
maybe in villages or maybe some rural area, but most places I've seen, even roadside restaurant, they put their bank account. You can do transfer. Even let me tell you something. There is a restaurant here in Abuja. I will not mention the name. The woman doesn't accept. She doesn't accept transfer. She doesn't do POS. She will tell you it's only cash. Oh, there is only cash. But recently, I was at that place and I saw 2 POS operators just sitting at the entrance.
So she has adjusted to change.
She has adjusted to change. Why? Because there is competition. There's no other restaurant in Abuja that doesn't accept card. So for me, there are times I don't want to go there because I don't have that cash to pay. So the truth is that most hospitals, okay, let me share something with you. I was at a restaurant in Lagos over the weekend, because I'm sure you will also talk about the infrastructure. That are we ready for that? So I was in a restaurant and I was about to pay. And I brought out my card, and they said, "Oh, sorry that their POS is not working." And I was like, "This is okay, but that I can actually make transfer." And you know what the lady did? She just wrote the account number on my bill, that I can just go and have my meal. I can just do my transfer. So as I was having my meal, I was just using one hand to do the transfer. I continued eating. I told my partner that, let me see whether these people will know whether we've paid or not. So immediately I finished my meal, I just woke up. I said, okay, that I'm going to have paid. She said, yeah, that they've actually seen it. So that is what we are talking about. We have to be creative. Now, their POS was not working, but they have the account number. So
should taxi drivers, should downfall drivers, should they have their account numbers?
And I will also tell you, that particular week that I experienced this, I was, from the airport, I took a ride. And I just told the guy, I said, see, I don't have cash with me. He said, that's not a problem. I'll give you my account number.
No, that's one off. That's like, let's come down to everybody.
Okay.
Taxi, the regular taxi, the along taxi.
Okay.
And then the downfall drivers you find in Lagos.
Okay.
And then the Okada riders, the Keke Maruas, the tricycles.
Okay.
Should they have their account numbers boldly written in their vehicles, so that we can at least...
You look at the amount you are transacting. You maybe 50 naira, 100 naira, 200 naira. Is that the one you want to do transfer for? These are literally 2 cash we are talking about. So that's why the policy put it at 20,000 cash per day. So what do you want to do with 20,000 that you can't pay 100 naira with you can't pay down for 100 naira? You know, so it's for those that require maybe POS and all that. Those that are dealing with, you know, money like 2,000, 4,000, 5,000. You know, so but again, you will be surprised that even the Malam having kiosk by the corner, some of them have POS now. They do. I'm sure you've seen some.
I have.
So what are we talking about? So change will be there. And maybe, you know, something annoying happened about 2 weeks ago. I was at an event and I saw one woman. She just carried mint, hawking, and she has POS. I use POS to pay so that I'll give you this. That's not what we want. We don't want people hawking. I'm sure you want.
So they want to take them out of the business, throw them out of the value chain.
Where did they get them? No, they have no business hawking. It's illegal. It's illegal. And
Where did they get the money from? It's from the same bank.
And that's the system that we are trying to sanitize now.
Okay.
By the way, I work in a financial institution, and even with that, I find it very difficult with my friends, with my network in the industry. I find it difficult to even get mint. And you get to an event, by the way, by policy, I don't spray because it's even illegal. So with this policy now, I'm waiting to see who will be spraying 500 naira and 1,000 naira bill at the event. So morally, we are really getting there. We won't get there in a day, but we need to sanitize. The system is messed up.
All right, so by decreasing this cash transactions and increasing electronic transactions, we expect that there will be increase in network failure. I don't know if that was even factored in, as the digital infrastructure available for most banks and integrators might or will struggle to cope with the demand. So have the banks especially and other channels, the other channel integrators, have they thought about the need to invest in cybersecurity softwares application to guard against the unexpected rise in fraud cases on cyber attacks? That's one on the side. Because then, if it was happening at 25% speed before now, you should expect that it to happen at least a 50% increase at the moment. So how prepared are the banks and other integrators for the days ahead without the banks coming to give excuses of, we don't know how the customers were defrauded?
You see, for cybercrime, it is not limited to Nigeria. It's all over the world. Criminals are all over the world, and cybercrime is there. And then again, I'm not trying to beat our chest, but I would say that we have one of the best systems in Nigeria.
Really?
I tell you. I tell you. In terms of, network infrastructure. I've had people say, oh no, you can't have POS will decline your payment, the money debit into your account, and that you cannot. It's possible. I've experienced it. But the truth is that we also not shy away from the fact that, we really need to do more again in terms of resolution time. How quickly are they able to resolve this? I know that the CBN already mandated banks that within 48 hours, transaction failure, POS transaction failure, ATM transaction failure must be resolved. But I believe that the banks are really working hard to ensure that they improve on this. But it's a problem that is all over the world. But I'm sure that they will. I've been a victim as well. I've had transaction failure and it was reversed.
All right, so another person here says, how about the big markets like the Arera International Market, the Onitsha Market, Alaba International Market, Ladipo, Zuba, Idumota, and all that deal with large cash on a daily basis? How will they be able to reconcile the differences with regards to transaction limits? And the banks always have downtime, and at the same time they deal with the new norm at a very short window.
How are they going to adjust to that? The truth is, you will be surprised that they are already doing this. So really, what this new policy is not just plug from from the space. They've actually, I'm speaking for myself and I'm speaking for a few people that I know. Online payment has been on for, and if you interact with some of these traders, they will tell you, there's nothing, there's nothing I buy, either from the Alaba market, anywhere, I don't do cash. And I'm sure most people, and I've never experienced a seller or a market person saying, no, it has to be cash. I've never experienced that. And I've never experienced that failure anyway. But it's a one-off thing. It's not something that is happening all the time. So why are we dwelling on those periods that we experience failure? But the truth is that we can actually do better. But let's start and we'll get there. And you also agree with me that before, when we started, we didn't have this enough payment channels. Then you have to go to the bank before they do your online transfer. But now you can do it on your phone. Even if you are not on the internet, you can use USSD and you do your transfer. They will just charge you token.
Yes, that charging token, I think that is where some customers are having issues with. Because if I have to do transfer like multiple times, it means I'm getting multiple tokens that I have to pay again.
But if you go to the bank, either to withdraw or to deposit money, you will pay transport before you go to the bank. So all this infrastructure, all these channels of payment, they are from your bank. Bank, they will not do it for free. You have to pay for the service. And how much are we talking about? Maybe 4 naira. But if you have to go to the bank, you know how much you will spend. But at the comfort of your home, you're able to make transfer. You're able to do whatever you want to do. And you are paying almost nothing.
Oh.
And again,
is that almost nothing?
No,
sometimes it's 25 naira to a particular transaction.
You know it was
like
more
10
than that.
naira.
You know it was more than that before.
Yes, it was.
It was more than that before. But the regulator, in their wisdom, they also look at the economies of scale. More people are doing it. So you bring down the... So maybe when we have more people in the basket now, maybe the cost will come down again.
Okay, so before we leave this topic about the CBN withdrawal limit, now, if you put yourself in the shoes of the CBN governor, and then you have people like the learned Silk, Femi Falana, who has said that he's going to sue with regards to this policy, and then people are in that, around that group who say that they don't believe in this policy. According to them, they say it is hogwash. But then for some other people like you who agree that this policy is just the best policy that one can ever think of. It is timely and all of that. So if you put yourself in the shoes of the CBN governor, you have this two group of people, how would you be able to deal? And at least at the end of the day, it is for these masses that you're bringing this for. So how would you be able to deal so as you can satisfy the people that these policies are meant for? Okay,
without holding brief for the CBN governor, at least for me, I think he has done well. And he didn't act arbitrarily, you know. He acted under the CBN Act 2007, Section 2, Section 2B, Section 18A, and Section 19A and B. He acted rightly, and he got the presidency approval. And he listed the reason why we have to do that. And I can't fault that policy, honestly. Okay, for those that will fault the policy, maybe they will say that they should increase the limit, right? So I listened to one funny submission on when the Senate were debating this yesterday, and a senator mentioned that they should limit it to 500,000 naira per day for individual. That's what we are trying to find. What does an individual want to do with 500,000 cash in a day? Masses, masses will suffer 500,000 naira in a day. What do you want to do with that? Why don't you want to do the transfer? Because again, in the long run, we will continue to have responsible government, and a lot of people evade taxes. Either because you want to do cash transaction, you don't want the system to capture what you are doing. And it's wrong. It's wrong. So you don't want to pay tax, and again, what are you hiding? What are you trying to do that you don't want the system to capture? So I would say, well, maybe if 20,000 naira per day is, if the general opinion is that 20,000 naira per day is too small.
So small.
In your opinion, what do you think should be an average cash per day that an individual should be able to draw?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
No, I'm the presenter here. I'm the one asking the question.
So for me, I'm okay with that 20,000. Even if that would be reviewed, maybe to 50,000, but nothing above that. Whatever you want to do it online. As for, I don't have the statistic, but as for the rural women or rural people that are unbanked, maybe this will now make them banked. And again, we are moving towards data. We need data in this country. And with what we do now, with, cash all over the place, we don't have that data. I just mentioned about the statistics on the poverty level. So how do you reconcile this? So when the statistics says that about 42% are below poverty line, about 95 million Nigerians are below poverty line, and the CBN is coming up with a cash withdrawal limit of 20,000 naira per day, which translates to 100,000 naira per week. And the poverty line benchmark is $5.50, which translates to between 2,000 and, even if you use the black market rate, that should be about less than 5,000 in a day. And the policy is saying withdrawal limits of 20,000 naira per day. And there is uproar that the masses will suffer. How do we reconcile this? So we need data. And the best way for us to have data is for people to have mobile phone, for people to have bank account. And again, most rural people, they have phone. At least they speak to their family and all that. In Kenya and some East African countries, they have M-Pesa. You know about that? So these are other means that other channels that we can look at. But as for cash, we need to play down on cash. And I listened to a gentleman on the TV yesterday talking about how he uses cash to pay his laborer. I said, why can't they have bank account?
All right. So our time is fast spent, but let's try to muzzle and then manage our time. So this policy, is it going to be a terrific opportunity to reintroduce the CBN's e-Naira? It's been over a year after the launch of the CBN's digital currency, and it's yet to gain traction, as less than 1% of the entire population is said to be using the local digital currency or even know about it at all. So will this withdrawal policy have any direct or indirect impact on the e-Naira's emergence? And that's one on the side. And then secondly, also, will it also have any kind of impact on 5G network?
Yeah, thank you. I think it will. Let me start from the 5G network. I think the last license, they've resolved the last license last week. The last license has gone to either Airtel, I'm not sure, but I think it has been resolved. And what that does is to increase the speed, when you do transaction on the internet. Now, for e-Naira wallet, I have a wallet, by the way, but I've not used it. Why? Because people are not, because you have choice. People have, like, talked about people carrying cash and all that. So nobody was looking at that. But now that we have a situation where you have limited, so for people who complain that they do not have a bank account, who complain that they do not have this, it's difficult for me to access the bank. With e-Naira, it's going to now be easy for them to either receive money or, or pay out money. So I think that it will enable people to now start using I think it's a policy that will encourage use of e-Naira. People don't use it because they don't know the benefit, and they have other alternatives. So why would they want to use e-Naira? But now they have limited options. So I believe that it will encourage people to use Naira.
All right, so let's divert a little bit and talk about investment. Tell us what kind of investment mistakes that you have recorded in 2022 and what kind of investment opportunities are open for people to delve into in 2023, bearing in mind that in first quarter of 2023, we should be thinking about the elections and then, in fact, jam-packed with loads of activities. And then you also have this this withdrawal policy at the time. So how can an investor or a prospective one actually channel their investment energy wisely?
Your question is even coming at the right time, because from the last MPC, you know, the MPR had gone up, and that means that for investors who are not willing to, you are not looking at taking any risk. You just want to save investment. So money market and fixed income instrument, these are the best form of investment now. They do as high as 16% per annum. So, and the beauty of it is that that is even closing. You know, before there was a wide gap between the inflation rate and the interest rate. But now the margin is closing.
Okay. So
money market is the best bet form of investment at this time. The return is very stable. If I were an investor, I would just lock my fund for 365 days.
Oh,
at
really?
The rate that the market is offering now.
All right, one last question.
And if you are also able to, identify good bond, subnational bond. Okay. And Sukuk was just...
I was going to talk about the Sukuk rate.
It was just, few weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago. And the rate quite attractive. And the coupon is paid, the profit is paid twice in a year. So these are good opportunities that you could latch on now. So for long-term investment, just do 365 days and lock your investment and be earning your profit every 6 months. All
right. All right. So in few words, let's talk about the rise and emergence of Islamic banking. It all started and some Nigerians kicked against it, thinking that it's not going to see the light of the day. It's just for a particular set of people and all of that. But then they say that it's just dead on arrival. But then we've seen how it hit the ground running. It's been moving like wildfire, and then it's getting ground. So are there prospects for Islamic banking even in 2023 and beyond?
Well, you know, one good thing about Islamic banking, the attraction there is that it's an ethical finance. Ethical investment and non-interest. Non-interest in the sense that it's because their faith doesn't believe that you should charge interest. It's like you are cheating the poor person. And even as Christians, I'm a Christian. As Christian, Bible talks about usury, that you shouldn't charge interest. So basically it's ethical. And what Islamic finance does is they have different models. They have a profit sharing. So what that simply means is that, okay, bring your money. We have Mudaraba. There are different, you may know Mudaraba, Musharaka. There are different names.
Okay, I think we have to dedicate a particular episode for Islamic financing.
What that does is that bring your money, let's do business. And then there are different models. There is one, we share profit. And if we make loss, no problem. So what that simply means is that, you know, in the conventional bank, when you borrow, okay, you charge interest, and unfortunately business could go bad. If you don't pay, you continue to pay interest. You know, but for Islamic or for ethical finance, they have different models.
All right.
It could be that, okay, you want to purchase this equipment, okay, I'll buy it and I'll lease to you. Or you want to do business, okay, how much should we give you? We'll give you this. Once you make the profit, we share the profit in this.
Right. So
meaning that you are not carrying any risk. And what also makes the investment aspect attractive is that ethical aspect. They don't do tobacco. They don't do gambling. You know, any investment that is not ethical. So if you do not believe, or if your belief does not align with some sort of investment, Islamic bank is available for you.
All right.
So, funny thing is that when you look at those that are investing there, it doesn't demarcate whether this person is a Muslim. Yes, you have Christian and Muslim investing there. So I think we have maybe the third license. I know there is 1, 2, 3. I don't know if there's the fourth yet, but I know about. I think there's a new bank that is, though they call it non-alternative.
I saw that one.
Because people don't, some people, when the word Islamic comes, it sends the wrong signal. But I think it's it's alternative banking. Thank
you so much for your time with us. And like I said, I think we have to just delegate one particular episode and then talk about Islamic banking. Thank you so much for your time with us, Abimbola Ajinibi. It's always a pleasure having this talk with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, viewers, that's all we can take for today. I'll see you again next time. Keep watching The Conversation because you never know who my next guest will be and what my next topic will be all about. Come your way again. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours. God bless Nigeria.